What's up everybody, HAWAIICALIVEGAZ here. I'm Shane and today I got something very special to show to you guys. My Works Motorsports Turbo Kit. They're based out of Sonoma, California, and I've already opened the box just to kind of see what was in there because I was so excited. Let me tell you one thing right off the bat. This is the instruction manual on how to install it. And I've installed several turbo kits in my time, and I was like, oh, it's a turbo kit, I don't need instructions. Based on where the turbo is located on their kit and the tight spaces that it has to work around, it's a good thing they include this because I wouldn't have figured it out without it. There's a few reasons why I chose this kit over any other kit. One, it's different than the other kits. Two, even though I don't live in California, it's carb legal. Three, it puts the turbo further back than a typical turbo setup for this platform. So it puts it right back by the battery. That's why in all the previous videos I've been pointing right here and instead of right here. So that way it kind of keeps the weight further back. Yes, the turbo does sit up a little bit higher, but it keeps the weight a little bit further back. Four is that this turbo kit can be used, and it is actually designed to be used on a 100% completely factory car. Factory fuel system, factory exhaust, factory header, everything like that. You can just throw this turbo on and get good, reliable horsepower. First thing, when you open the box, you're going to notice that instruction manual, which is super detailed and in-depth, which is something very much needed for this turbo kit. One of the first things I grabbed, which I was very excited to because this is probably the funnest part of any turbo kit, the turbo. This one's a Garrett turbo. It's a GT28. I think it's journal bearing, and it has a T25 flange, 5-bolt downpipe, .86 AR. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's good to 330-ish wheel horsepower, maybe a little bit more. Since I'll be running E85, we'll see what we get. Keep in mind that is the turbo that comes with the stage 1 and stage 2 turbo kits. There's stage 1, which is the kit that I have, and then there's a stage 2 which has a couple extra pieces. One of the major ones is the liquid to air intercooler. This kit does not come with an intercooler, but it does, however, come with a heat sink. The one good thing about this kit, and one of the reasons why I chose it, was one, boost response should be fairly quick due to the fact that the air does not have to travel through miles and miles of intercooler piping through a big intercooler and then into the motor. This one will just blow the air directly from the turbo through the heatsink and then into the throttle body. They thought this kit very well through, and they give you everything that you could possibly need for it. Everything is labeled to make installation as easy and as simple as possible. Like I said before, you can use this kit, and it was designed to be used on a 100% factory setup, and you can use your factory intake. And what this is going to do is, when you let off the throttle, it's kind of like a blow-off valve, and this is going to divert your air from that tube into your factory intake. Another box that is included is the box of all the hardware. It's all labeled Turbo Hardware 1, Turbo Hardware 2, and 3. So with that being said, it's just, they have everything very well planned and very well thought out, executed very well. This one is actually the up pipe, and I said that since it fits the turbo in the kind of like the factory WRX STI configuration, this is going to replace your factory overpipe, and it's going to connect directly up to your exhaust manifold or aftermarket header as long as it bolts up into the factory location. So this will go there, the exhaust stream will go up, spin the turbo, and then come back down, and they've included this downpipe. So the exhaust will go up, spin the turbo through here, and then right back down to where your overpipe used to connect to. And you can run it on a factory exhaust, or in my case, I'm going to be running a 2.5-inch front pipe and then opening up a little bit more to a 3-inch parent catback. Alright, so that was the gist of all the parts that are in the box, and that's all that's included for the unboxing of this kit. Now it's time to install this bad boy. Since it comes with those instructions, unlike most of the other things that I've installed lately, I'm definitely going to follow that. That way I make sure I install everything to a T and I don't have any issues. Alright guys, disclaimer. Let me just stop right here. Before we get started, oh look, my Instagram name right there. Before we get started, this is going to be a DIM video, something that I just decided to make up. It's did it myself, not a DIY, do it yourself. So take this for what it's worth. I'm just going to do the install. I'll try and record as much as possible. I'm going to be following that booklet right there. But here we go. Just like with any major maintenance that you're going to do on your car, you're going to want to disconnect both of your battery leads. So I have those over there. The next step after that is going to be removing the noise sound generator thing. Half of mine's already gone because I have a Skunk 2 intake. Next up is to remove the three harness clamps. You're going to have one right here, but you're going to have to pull this open. One right here, and then one that goes behind the manifold right here. Next step after that will be to remove this bracket, which holds on all the harness right here. So it gives you an option to remove this, cut it right here, and then you can reinstall this part. And what this is for is so you can remove and install the engine. So after removing the bracket, this is the piece that they're talking about. You can cut right here and then reinstall this piece. Alright, so after disconnecting the harnesses back there from the bracket, you're going to have to disconnect the injector module, and there's three 10mm bolts, 1, 2, and then there's a third one kind of way down under here. After that, you're going to be removing the injector cover, which is held on by two 12mm bolts. There's one here, and then the other one I have to find. Injector computer is off. There's three 10mm bolts. The 12mm bolts for the injector cover were right here, and then one back here. You'll have to kind of finagle your way through this harness. Then you're also going to have to disconnect this from the injector cover, as well as this one back here. Since I'm in this location already and I have the injectors exposed, I'm probably going to install my injectors since I'm here. In the next step, it tells you to bend or remove these tabs, which when you have the injector cover here, it's these two tabs. Either I'll remove them completely, or I'll just buy an aftermarket one to pretty up my engine bay. Whoop, whoop. Alright, so since I have the passenger side parts off, and I have the fuel rail section accessible, I figured now's a good time to install my 700cc DW injectors. Alright, so inside of it, oh shit, some flow data, can't really tell, DW sticker, injector clips, the injectors themselves. Since I'm on the passenger side, I'll go ahead and install these, and then I'll get to the driver's side eventually. Alright, so I'm assuming to install the injectors, I'm going to have to remove that bolt and that bolt, which look to be about 12mm. And then there's a connector right here and right here for the injector itself. So after I remove those two, I'll be able to pull this up and pull the injectors out, and then replace them with my DW injectors. Put it all back together. We'll lube up the O-rings with the supplied lube and put it all back together. I've installed the DW supplied injector clips. You pull them out and you can see right here how the injectors are. Pressure is now released. Now I'm gonna smell like gasolina. Come out. And you're going to want to lube the O-rings, so that way it goes in smoothly into the fuel rail. The factory one's just a little bit taller, so it sits in a little bit further. As soon as they're installed, I'll apply pressure to check for leaks. One of the last things you want. out of anything to leak on a car, you don't want your fuel injectors to leak. One way I test to kind of guess if the seal is good or if the injectors are in there good is once the fuel rail is reinstalled and tightened up, I'll go ahead and move the injectors around just a little bit just to see how hard it is. If it's real easy to spin, it probably does not have a good seal. After the injectors, which is not part of the turbo kit, but since I have access to it, I installed them right now. Next up on the turbo kit side is to remove this 14mm bolt. You can kind of see it right there, and that's going to be our oil supply line. Alright, new fitting is installed. You can kind of see it right there, the little bit of gold, and then the oil supply line is right there. The next step is to actually reinstall the injector cover with this facing aft, hiding behind it just like that. And it's said to cut the tab off of that piece or bend it to allow for room for the turbo, but I think I'm just going to go with an aftermarket cover just so more pretty. That's really the only reason. If you take the kit as designed, you're going to actually have a pipe that's going to run across here and then go directly. You're going to have a pipe that's going to go straight from the turbo, which is here, and it's going to blow directly across the motor and then bend into the throttle body, and then the heat sink is going to go about here. So with that, this alternator piece is going to be in the way, and the way they tell you to do it is to relocate this to the back. That way you get a little bit more clearance up here. So with me being, with me going with a front mount intercooler setup, I'm not going to move that. The way this turbo is, and this is another reason why I like this this setup, is because you don't have to tap the oil pan like a traditional turbo setup. The turbo sits high enough to where you can actually, where it actually utilizes the cam plate on the back of the head, and the turbo is just gonna, the oil is gonna feed from here where we just took it from, and it's gonna go all the way back through the turbo and then down to that cam plate that's in the back. Which is good because then I don't have to pull off the oil pan, I don't have to tap it and weld a bung on it, etc., etc. So that's another reason why I like this kit. Alright, so next up is to install this cam plate. Really solid piece of work right here to billet, and it's going to be precise. So one thing to note when setting this up, you're going to want this to be, I'll look at the instructions again, but I'm pretty sure it says 30 degrees. So it has to be set up a specific way. I'll show you that in a little bit. But it's going to replace that cam plate right down there. And this is going to be the oil, the turbo's oil return line. Alright, so I've got the 3 bolts holding the OEM cam plate on. One thing it says in the instructions is to be very careful when removing this, because it's held on with the factory sealant to hold that in place and to seal it. But be very careful when trying to pry that off that you do not mar or scratch up the aluminum head that it's attached to, because that could hinder your sealing properties or your sealing-ishness when trying to put this one on. So this is it. Cam plate removed. Now it's time to clean it up, the mating surface, and then install this. Alright, so I got the old cam plate off and all the sealant has been removed. Now it's time to install the Works Motorsports cam plate. Make sure you get this O-ring on. Oh, and one thing is the instructions say to make sure that the fitting is set up to where it's 15 degrees offset. So straight up and down and then over 15 degrees. Don't ask me how I measured it. That looks like 15 degrees. Alright guys, this is pretty much going to sum it up for today. I got quite a bit done. I probably could have got a little bit more, but it's hot over here in Phoenix, so taking breaks every now and then, plus taking my time reading the instructions, which I don't normally do, but I want to make sure that everything is on point with this, and I mean, if there's instructions, why not use it? So we'll start with what I did. So I disconnected the battery, I removed the sound generator tube, I went ahead and installed my DW 700cc injectors on this side while getting fuel all over the place at the same time because I didn't relieve the pressure. And I installed the oil feed line, the rear cam cap for the oil return. So next up will be to install. There's still quite a bit to install, so stay tuned for next time. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching Hawaii Cali Vegas with the Z, and I'll see you guys next time. Mahalo.